you to your welcome, 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 everyone. I am so excited to see you today. Welcome to the Dr. Joan of Angels show, where today we are going to be welcoming Tiffany O'Hearn. She's an accomplished energy healer, an astrologer, and a transformational guide for a deep dive into the profound connections between ancestral trauma, cosmic forces, and impersonal empowerment. Tiffany sheds light on how unresolved trauma and inherited patterns will lock you into a cycle of pain and limit your potential. So today we're going to be diving into the hidden layers of trauma and karma with our very special guest who will show us how these ancestral wounds and cosmic forces can impact our health, relationships, and even our ability to step into our true purpose. So if you're ready to explore how to clear these blockages and transform your life, this episode is for you. So I'm really happy to see you all. Be sure to please like, share, and subscribe. I'm your host, Dr. Joan of Angels. I'm your guide to bringing the worlds of practical living and spiritual empowerment together. I've had decades of experience in alternative healing, chiropractic care, and energy and intuitive work. And I combine my knowledge of the physical body with my intuitive gifts to offer transformational guidance and healing. As a speaker and a healer, I offer private sessions that help you unlock your full potential in the 3D physical world. So enough about me. We're going to go and start telling you a bit more about Tiffany. Tiffany O'Hearn is a very gifted energy healer, astrologer, and transformational guide. She has a unique ability to integrate the mind, body, and spirit into her healing practice and lives in alignment with their true purpose. Through her work, she combines energy healing, astrology, and spiritual wisdom to guide others on their journey towards self-love, abundance, and joy. With deep connection to nature and a passion for empowering others, Tiffany helps people clear blocks from past experiences and step into their authentic power. She leads with love. Her show is The Abundance. Now I suddenly forgot the name of the show. Yes, Heart and Soul Healing. The Alchemy of Abundance is the name of her show. She leads with love and believes that true healing begins in the heart. So let's give a wonderful welcome to Tiffany O'Hearn.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joan. I really appreciate, this platform. I appreciate you having me on today. I really look forward to it. So thank you.
I'm very excited. Is that a spine in the back behind you?
It's not. No, it is sacred geometry.
Oh, sacred geometry. I thought suddenly, because I don't see that well, I thought, oh, wait, she has a spine back there.
That would be pretty funny for this conversation, right?
Well, healing, we heal on all levels, and the spine is a conduit of all that energy. So, but that's usually my field. So,
Yeah.
Tiffany, tell us how you became this amazing energy healing practitioner that combines body, mind, and spirit, and healing and astrology.
It has been a journey, right? As it goes. And, I remember being a child, and this is something that I've really felt into over the past few months, because it really had a summer of, one of those dark nights of the souls where it was just calling, everything forward, and I had, little memories come through of me being a child, small one, and being able to see the wounds of others, but not really understanding it because I was a child. And I remember specifically there was I was about 2.5 years old, and I was sitting in the high chair, and I could see my mom, and she was very stressed out and very upset. And so in my young mind, if I could get her attention, I could help her with that so that she would see there's nothing to be stressed about. But the only way to do that was to cry. And so it didn't work, right? Because that's what I knew at the time. And so it was a really beautiful memory for me to really embrace and invite, because I've often gone through my life thinking, I think differently, or I see differently, and I didn't really understand why or how. And then fast forward through different pinnacle moments within my life. And really one of the greatest catalyst was probably one of three. My father passed away in 2011. I had my daughter in 2016, and I had a divorce at 2018. And so all of those really were huge stepping stones for me to find myself. And that was really, the biggest key moments. I specifically remember, and I'm writing a chapter in a book for an anthology, and I didn't know what was going to come out from my chapter, but it brought me to this moment in my journey where I was with my father, and my brother was there too. And it was probably a month to 6 weeks before he passed away. And he said to us, he told my brother some things, and then he turned to me and he said, "Tiffany, find love." And I was like, okay, that's easy. And so I got married. But that's not what he meant. But I didn't know it at the time. And so that has really stayed with me, because what I come to understand only more recently, right? So we're talking about, however, 13 years, where what he actually meant was find love in me, with me, not in any other person or any other space and place. It was within me. And I heard it differently, but I needed to hear it differently in those moments, because I wouldn't be here now if I didn't hear it differently. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, throughout my journey has really been to understand who I am and to learn to love myself wholly and completely without conditions. Because we tend to be very conditional with our love, especially within us.
Oh, right. Like, oh, yes, Tiffany, you look beautiful today. Well, thanks, but I'm too fat.
Right.
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 Thanks,
Right.
but I have this zit right here, and you're going to see it whether you like it or not. You're going to see all my flaws, even if you think I look good.
Right.
So we do have that trauma, which is that we have to lead with our flaws instead of our beauty.
Right.
And that we can't even seem to accept, you look beautiful today.
Right.
Like, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I do look beautiful today.
Yeah, and that's such a great point too. And that's something that I really had to focus on specifically this summer, because I see you and I say, "Oh, Dr. Joan, I want to help you. I want to help you, whatever it may be. I want to help you." And you say, "Well, that's great, Tiffany. I want to help you." And I say, "Oh, no, 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 no. I'm just here to help you." Right.
Right. Okay. That is very interesting. Continue with your thought, because that's very interesting.
Yeah. And so what I discovered is within my own self, right, and within all of us, that we need to be balanced with giving and receiving, or we're not showing up in full alignment. And so it's so easy for us to want to give, 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 give. Oh, I'm just going to give, give, give. But we're not giving from the heart if we're not able to receive, because the
Right.
heart is unconditional.
Right. Right.
And learning to receive can be very challenging for us. To your point, Dr. Joan, I love your earrings. Oh, these old things? 15 years ago, right? If you mention something about what somebody's wearing, they're probably going to
Right.
tell you when they bought it.
Right. No, no, absolutely.
Instead of
Absolutely.
just receiving,
Right. So do you train people on the art of receiving?
It's something that I'm really passionate about. And yes, I mean, we have to find those little moments of uncomfortability, and they don't have to be the grand ones, right? It can be, listen, today I'm going to receive a compliment. I don't know who's going to give it to me. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm going to receive a compliment today, and you'll get one.
So interesting. So years and years ago, I was writing books on miracles and stuff, and I had this friend who was one of my guides, and she said to me, "You're going to have a miracle in the next 24 hours." And so I had that in my head, and I'm driving up to my son's basketball game, and it's raining and raining, and I do it. It was after the game. He was with his dad, and I do this U-turn because I realize I'm lost. My navigation isn't working because I'm in the boonies, and I end up in a ditch. Right? And I went, "What happened to that miracle I'm supposed to have? What happened to that miracle?" And I'm freaking out like this is not a miracle. I'm in this ditch, and it's pitch black and raining, and I don't know anyone. I'm in the middle of nowhere. My cell phone's not working. And this truck drives up, And this dude gets out of the truck. He's got a baseball cap. I didn't see his wife on the other side. I'm going, oh my God. Anyway, he stopped a couple of other cars and they pushed my car up out of the ditch. And within 15 minutes, I was turned around and was able to get home. And I said, oh my God, that was my miracle, because I had been expecting a miracle. And I think when you expect these things, they come.
They do.
It's that avenue of expectation. So, in your work, like, what do you do then in your work? How do you help people rid themselves of the trauma and these fears?
Thank you for that question, because it can be, when we talk about energy healing, right? A lot of us do energy healing and we do it in a lot of different ways. And it's not, they're all important, right? All of these modalities. So I specifically work with the thought field, and your excuse me, I'm losing my train of thought. The physical body. We all have, the organs, so we tap points, right? So it's almost like EFT, except for it's a little different because I use your energy to help guide the sessions. I'm just the guide. I'm not doing the healing for you, right? And so, there's a couple different modalities that I infuse within that. But let's just say that you came to me and you said, something pretty easy that people often are fearful of. I can't speak in front of people. I clam up. I start sweating. Okay, no problem. In those moments where I listen, you will come to tell me what your programs are. Right. And so it might be something like this. Well, what happens? Well, every time I go to stand up in front of somebody, I start sweating. And then I think that they're going to be looking at me and judging me. Okay. So you feel judged. Okay. So each individual will tell me their programs and they don't necessarily realize it. But when I say programs, they're telling me what their wound is. Well, I remember when I was a child and I went to, go stand up in front of the classroom and I wet my pants. Okay, so now we're getting closer to it, right? And so we all have these traumas in our life, and they don't have to be these big, grand, I remember, when PTSD first became a topic of conversation, it was like, well, I didn't go to war, so I don't have trauma, right? We all have trauma.
Since 2020, we've had even more trauma.
That's
Most
right.
people have not recovered from that.
Exactly. We all have these traumas. And so the way that I describe it is, again, let's go to, public speaking, right? The fear of that. So the fear of being in front of people and them judging you. These are the energies that are expressed in your body, and they're very dense. And so we can take that once we found the proper program, and using your body and energy, we help to transmute the energies so that they're less dense. They're just within you, because energy can neither be created nor destroyed. We're just shifting it, right? And you're removing yourself from that nervous system response so that you step into whatever it is that you're trying to do and you go, okay, I got this. Because when we remove trauma, the first few times you bump up against something like that, right? You might go, where is it? Is it coming? But then you realize that you're peaceful inside and you get to do the thing, whatever it may be. And so an example of this that I used on myself, I was perpetually afraid of wind through my life. Couldn't explain it, was afraid of wind. If it was windy, when I was a child, I would sleep in the hall. As an adult, I got a sound machine. Like I was, and you could say, well, Tiffany, what happened? I'd say, I don't know. Nothing happened. I'm just afraid of it. And so I do a lot of backpacking. Well, having a wind fear doesn't always suit you in the woods.
Right.
And I remember there was one night we were in Vermont and I was up all night, pins and needles, just in trauma. Couldn't figure it out. And so this summer, I'm in the woods and there was a thunderstorm that came and I was like, you know what? I haven't dealt with this. So in my hammock, in that moment, I wrote them all down and I figured out the programs, because some of it was ancestral and some of it was past life too. Because the beautiful thing about it is I couldn't pinpoint necessarily anything that happened to me in this life that would have that experience with wind. And so I cleared my programs. I cleared the trauma with it. And in August, that was in July, it was the beginning of July. August, I went backpacking again. We were out for 4 nights. On the 4th night, I'm in my hammock and it's windy. And I was laying there, and all of a sudden I got this big smile on my face. And I was like, I did it, because I was so peaceful inside. And I got to listen to the wind differently.
Mhm. So interesting. So you don't sleep in tents, you sleep outside.
Yeah, with a hammock. Yep.
How interesting. Very, very interesting. Well, when you said that, I could think of all these things about the wind, but I get it. I used to have a terrible fear of public speaking. And so I used to force myself to raise my hand to be one of the first ones. And I flunked student teaching in college because I was too afraid to stand in front of a classroom of seventh and eighth graders and the teacher. I actually flunked because I was too shy and too mortified of them seeing me, just like what you were saying. But over the years, something's happened because I've healed it. Now I can't wait to get on stage. So I know you can heal these things.
You can.
Really, it's just a matter of breaking those programs. Yeah, absolutely the truth. So your work isn't like hands-on healing then. You don't lay someone down.
Sure. No, not necessarily, because I can do it, I can do it in Zoom as well, and I can do it
Mhm,
within groups. Group healing is a really beautiful thing because you have so many people focused on the same thing. It's also
mhm,
not individual. So it doesn't make it better. It just makes it different. In going back to your point about the miracles, right? Like I teach, or I can guide, for, abundance, like financial abundance, right? We can clear away some of
mhm.
these money programs that we have. We all have them because our parents talked a lot of smack about money, right?
Right.
That it doesn't grow on trees and all, and these become our little programs. And so the beautiful thing is that we can help kind of release some of these traumas with money. Now, it's not necessarily that you're going to go away, right, and find $50,000. I mean, it'd be a beautiful, wonderful thing if you did. However, to your point about miracles, when somebody starts to feel good about money, right, and they're walking down the road and all of a sudden they see a quarter, oh, I see the money coming in, because we've
Mm.
shifted the focus to it. And now we're looking for evidence that it worked, that we will find it, right? But it might not be the way in which you think, right? That someone's going to come up to me and hand me $500. That'd be great. It's probably not going to happen, right? But if we can work with some of these energies of money, and then you find a dime or just something pretty trivial, you can think of that and remember and go, it's working.
It is work. I love it. I love it. So honestly, it's really a matter of shifting our programming and recognizing and releasing the
Yes,
limitations we've placed on ourselves,
that's right.
which then can go back and release the ancestral lineage of those traumas.
Exactly.
I love that. I love that. And so, what kind of results are you getting with people?
It's really, it depends on the person and what they're there for, right? Does that make sense?
Mhm,
So, I was working with one client for, a couple months, just to work through, some childhood traumas. And, we got to a place where she could go to the funeral and could be around her family, and it didn't bother her. It didn't have that same nervous system response, and that's just one of the ways. It depends on what you're coming there to heal or to work on, truly. But I know it works not only from my clients, but from the devotion that I have made to myself with healing and transmuting my own wounds and traumas. And it's something that I practice weekly, where I actually will schedule time, spend an hour, and whatever has come up for the week, well, then I work on that. In the last couple of weeks, I haven't really had much, and that's okay. Right. But it's still there for me. It's still a practice that I devote myself to. And it has changed my life. It has it has changed my life so dramatically that I have lost probably 25 pounds without changing my diet.
well, that in itself says everything.
Yeah, and so people will see me, my daughter's school, we went through the summer break and I went back in fall, and I didn't really pay attention. Yeah, my clothes feel differently, but a lot of the parents were like, whoa, 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 like, you changed. And they said, what did you do? I said, well, I just matched my insides to my outsides. But that's
Now, can you
confusing for
break that
people.
down? Yes, you have to break that down.
Right. So what I mean is I'm happy on the inside. And therefore you're seeing that happiness on the outside.
Yes.
And that's really the change, right? Because,
Mm-hmm.
when we look at, being overweight, that's also a wound of some kind.
Right.
It is. And so if we
Mm-hmm.
can get to that wound, if we can figure out where that's coming from, right? With which time we can, well, you get to shift that. And then you don't want to eat the way you used to because you feel better inside.
Right. And you love yourself more. And you know
That's
that
right.
that's going to not make you feel good.
Right.
So you can reverse it. Yeah. Yeah. Very smart. Very smart.
It
Yeah.
goes to the conditional love.
Uh-huh. I love that. So when people reach out, why will people reach out to you? Three questions in one.
Sure.
What are some of the reasons people will reach out to you? And what are you offering them when they reach out to you? That's two questions.
I
That's
was
enough.
like, I'm waiting for the third. Okay. So, people can reach out to me for all, types of reasons, right? Like breakups can be a really, beautiful time to reassess who you are because, generally we go through a breakup and we think, well, they're bad, they're wrong. Well, maybe, but you also attracted them. So there's some work that we get to do there, right? And to help attract a new mate for yourself that more aligns with who you are. That's one way, people come to me for, again, money, financial, right? That can be a really big one. But that's also more intimate with the person, you know. Um,
Mhm.
People I've had, somebody I worked with for quitting smoking, um,
Mhm.
there's just fears, those are usually easier ones to get people in because it's very tangible. Like, I'm afraid
Mhm.
of a snake. Okay, we can help transmute that. Okay, yes, because I can't stand snakes. I can't be in the sight of them. And you can release the fear. I've done it with water, being afraid of the ocean,
Mhm.
finding that
Mhm.
program and then releasing it. And now all of a sudden you feel differently. You feel differently.
So we can book his session with you to release our programming and old patterns.
Yes, yes. Anything that continuously
Mhm.
comes up for you
Mhm.
is a program, whether you pay attention to it or not, you know? And so much of our life, I can put it to you this way: what you react to in life is trauma based, what you respond to in life is not. And sometimes that can shift from a day to day, right? From an emotional standpoint.
Mhm.
But by and large, when we react, our nervous system is engaged. So there's information there. And I always say, get super curious. Get super curious. What about that interaction caused me to react? Oh, it reminds me of when I was a child and my mom used to do that thing. Okay, hold that because we can help you clear that so that it doesn't keep showing up. A lot of us spend our life not representing ourselves the way that we think we should, right? Where we want to show up as this beautiful person, but then somebody cuts us off and then now we're upset. And then we get to work and we're running late. You know what I mean? And we find all of these ways to really take us away from ourselves. But really what the invitation is to come back into yourself. And that's really what we can use and do within the healing world, within the energy healing, is invite you to come back home. It's not a scary place, but it is if you haven't been there in a while.
Mm. Right, 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 right. Well, this is so beautiful. So how do they reach you, Tiffany, to book this amazing session?
Yeah, through my website. So you can go to www.heartinsoulhealing.com, as well as, you can follow me on my social media. You can message me. I have my show, because I'm really here, I know, to help guide individuals back to themselves. And that's really what it's about. And I also know that each of us get to do that, but only some of us will hear the call. And so if you're hearing it, then find you. And it doesn't, I would love to guide you. but I don't necessarily have to be the one. That's okay. There's a world of healing modalities out there that we get to choose from, including yourself, right?
Right.
Find what resonates, because in this technological world that can sometimes be pretty dark and heavy, it also can be very beautiful. And we get access to so many different, we can talk to Australia right now if we wanted to and find a beautiful healer there, and to remember that we're all here on our own individual journeys, and when you get that nudge, listen to it, because that subtle nudge will turn into something a little bit more forceful throughout your life, right? And that might not be where you want it or when you want it, right? Because it might manifest in more of an illness or dis-ease, right? Prior to actually hearing that call.
Yeah.
And it does
Yes.
take a devotion. It really takes a devotion to self. And that is not a big, tall order. It's simply not. Because I can tell you, when you devote yourself to yourself, life feels different.
Yes, absolutely. You wake up ready to leap out of tall buildings in a single bound.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Faster than a locomotive.
Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
it? Yeah, and leaping over tall buildings. So I was brought up on Superman, of course.
Yeah.
But I used to tell all my patients, we're going to have you leaping out of the bed, leaping out of your build. If I forget it. Anyway, yes. So very exciting, Tiffany. I really appreciate having you on the show. Everyone, I really thank you. So thank you very much for being
Thank
here.
you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
And guys, I'm going to be on her show soon, so you're going to
Yes.
be able to look for me on the Alchemy of Abundance when we do all that.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Tiffany. Have a miraculous day, free of all those limitations that many of you still have. But I know that after listening to this, you're going to reach out to Tiffany and clear them.
Yes.
And so it is. All
Thank you,
right.
Dr.
Thanks
Joan.
so much, Tiffany. Oh my God, was that amazing, guys, to find out that you could take these programmings that you have lived with for a long time that have limited you, and you can work through with Tiffany to actually remove them from your field. So I highly recommend that you work with Tiffany, that you check and release that which is holding you back, because we talk about that a lot, what is holding you back. So meanwhile, guys, be sure to like, subscribe, and share so we can grow our tribe, number one. And number two, reach out to me if you have any thoughts that you want to have a personal session, wing fluffing, align your body, mind, and spirit so you can step into your power and live your best life now. Have a great week. Thank you for joining us on the Dr. Joan Show. Remember, you are powerful, limitless, and you are here for a reason. Stay inspired, stay protected, and keep shining your light. Until next time, miracles are waiting for you.